method and his works bring a lot of positive influences artistically. It's not only the designer and painter of Marie Antoinette, but also a designer of the French Academy of Sciences, as well as a flower painter of Queen Mary Josephine and a painting teacher of Princess Mary Louise. He was recognized by the celebrities at that time, which is enough to reflect his superb painting skills. His botanical artworks is the best embodiment of his influence. In general, the flowers in his watercolor works are brilliant in their appearance. They are elegant and natural in color transition. In terms of color application, he used watercolor as a material to make the color of flowers in the picture vivid and natural. His rendering technique is very mature and the color transition on the petals is very stable. The lines are also very smooth and in-detailed, without abrupt strokes. We can also say that his perspective of describing flowers is artificial but brilliant, since there are almost no shadows under the leaves and petals. The roses and lilies are completely and brightly displayed in front of his audience, which helps people better observe and understand the image he conveys. Compared with contemporary botanic artists, he did not use oil paintings with strong colors, which is difficult to dye to describe flowers. His painting style has been imitated by many later generations. And as an extraordinary artist, he did his best to show his realistic style and aesthetic appreciation of art and what he wanted by creating paintings. His realism style influenced many later realistic artists and botanics. His artworks influenced the trend of taking plants as beauty in Europe since the 18th century. Also, as we can see, these paintings on the wall are from other artists, but I believe that they are influenced by Redoute.
Pierre-Joseph Redoute was considered the premier flower painter at Paris, in France, in his day. His paintings have significant influence on the development of science. During the time of Redoute in the late 80s and early 19th century, naturalists were seeking out flowers and flowering plants. They classified plants in natural groups as never before. It was called the golden age of botany. They found new species all over the world, and some scientists even started to hybridize plants and observe the pattern of genetic influence. As humans' interest in plants expand from as food and medicine to scientific curiosity, Redoute drew for realistic renderings, with details of both front and back views. His detailed painting depicts every part of the plant, including the key to determine each species of rose, which made his painting significant in science. Many plants Redoute recorded were exotic plants brought by plant hunters from all over the world. In 1786, he worked at the Museum of Natural History and cataloged the collections of flora and fauna found overseas, including Egypt. These plants are cultivated in European gardens and provide a sample of the incredible variety in nature. Their forms, colors, and lifestyles give humans a more profound understanding of botany. Here is the Musa paradisiaca by Redoute. It shows the great detail of this plant. His work also helps people to see and study real plant species. The year after it, he created the drawing of plates, a study of the real plants growing at Kew, London. The Empress Joseph was a lover of art, flower and gardens, and also a patron of Redoute. She collected precious species and examples of virtually every known species in her two gardens. In 1800, these samples were recorded by Redoute in two of his books. He produced over 2,100 paintings for published plays, including over 1,800 different species, many of which have never been recorded before. One of the books is called Description de plantes cultivées en Amazon et en Navarre. In English, it means a description of rare plants cultivated in Amazon and Navarre. This book is now used to research biodiversity. The plants in the roses have artistic value, botanical value, and documentary value, both for the species and cultivators still surviving and for those disappeared. Redoute also helped to promote the development of painting techniques and publication techniques. He developed to perfection a method of color application, which involved the use of a minute Shaman laser or cotton mold to the application of a succession of colors on a copper engraving. According to Blount, Redoute eventually perfected the reproduction of his painting for publication using steeple engravings, which used dots rather than lines to engrave plates, with varying dot density being used to convey tone and shading.
It took him 20 years to complete the book The Rose, which records 117 kinds of roses. This book is popular in many distant countries such as Japan, South Africa, and Australia, and more than 200 kinds of copies of it have been published in various languages around the world, and there are new editions published almost every year.
These are all different versions of The Rose. They have different covers, and each version is very popular.
The artistic and academic success of this book has earned him a reputation as the master of the rose, and the book itself is regarded as the Bible of rose. The roses drawn by Redoute have been blooming for 200 years and been part of the modern culture of West, and they are the only classic symbol of French romance and elegance in the world. Last but not least, his work also influenced great textile, wallpaper, and ceramic designs in Europe. For many designers, his paintings are a valuable resource of inspiration. The original set was the largest set ever made by the Royal Manufactory, and it required more than 2 years of detective work. Inspired the drawings and work of the painter Redoute. Contact flowers are rendered with a stunning realism and beauty. The name of each flower is engraved on the back of each plate. For this exceptional service, the Annie Manufactory Royal selected the most beautiful pieces of the original set, displayed at the museum in the French castle, located in Germany.
And these are all plates with words inspired by his drawings. These plantic flowers are rendered with a stunning realism and beauty.
And headman in France. Nowadays, his influence still spreads far and wide and can be still felt in illustrations on cards, decorative boxes, books, wallpapers, and prints and calendars.
Some designers say that she has a passion for historical roses and vintage, Redoute illustration, and beautiful paintings of him, and other Bontic illustrators are a treasure source of